featuring Carrie Romano, the CEO of Utah's Ronald McDonald House. Now, Carrie has served as the executive director for Ronald McDonald House Charities, RMHC, because that has initials for absolutely everything. Of the Intermountain area since 2010, Ronald McDonald House Charities provides a temporary home away from home that serves and sustains families of seriously ill or injured children receiving treatment in area hospitals. Under Carrie's leadership, the charity has completed a $12 million expansion with a new Ronald McDonald House on South Temple in Salt Lake and Ronald McDonald Family Room at Primary Children's Hospital. This expansion has increased the number of pediatric patient families positively impacted by RMHC by 400%. Prior to joining Ronald McDonald House Charities, Carrie served as Chief Development Officer and Capital Campaign Manager for the YWCA Salt Lake City, where she successfully secured $20.5 million in capital funding to complete the YWCA's campus expansion. Carrie has more than 20 years of nonprofit organizational leadership, board, executive, and financial management, and fundraising experience. She recently was recognized by the Utah Business Magazine as the 2015 CEO of the Year. Would you please join me in welcoming Carrie Romano?
Good afternoon, and thank you. Can you all hear me? All right back there? Good. Thank you. This is an honor to speak with you all and take this trip to Southern Utah. We serve so many families from Southern Utah, and to be with you all and to be so warmly welcomed feels great. And to meet Italians. I didn't know there were so many Italians in St. George. So that's good news. In my job, I believe I have one of, if not the best jobs in the entire world. I get to see the very best in people. I get to witness amazing strength and courage of children. I get to see this never-ending well of love from their parents. I get to see donors who give away their treasure for a greater good, volunteers who give their time, staff who work tirelessly, and because of that, I feel that it's a gift to have this position and to sort of bear witness to what is going on around me. And I believe that things happen for reasons and timing matters. And just yesterday, I was telling Pam that I was in the kitchen of our Ronald McDonald House, and a lovely mother who I had seen at the house off and on over the last year approached me and said, "Are you going to St. George to speak to their chamber tomorrow?" And I said, "Yes, how do you know that?" And she said, "Well, I live in St. George and I saw the advertisement, and normally I would attend the luncheons, but I'm here." And we got to talking, and so I'm going to show you a couple of photographs. And so I don't know if you can see that with the lighting. So the mother I was speaking to is Chris, and she has a 3.5-year-old named Alanya and a little boy named Marcus. Marcus celebrated his 5th birthday at the house at the beginning of the year. And Alanya has cancer, and she had been treated and released and is back, and it is looking tough. And so she asked that I give a shout out and ask for all your love and prayers. Alanya's in surgery this morning, and she's a part of your community. So, and she's staying in our house right now. So I hope you'll all send her love. And so with that, Ronald McDonald House is an autonomous 501c3 charitable organization, and we work really hard to surround families with the support that they need to be near and care for their very sick or injured children. And we work to create more than just a free hotel. We work to create a really soft landing spot where folks can support family-centered care for their children. We believe families are stronger when they are together, and I imagine you might agree as well. And together, as an organization, nearly 6 million families will find a place to stay because of the Ronald McDonald House and our charity around the world. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. The first Ronald McDonald House in the world opened in 1974 in Philadelphia. And so there was a player for the Philadelphia Eagles. His name was Fred Hill, and he had a daughter who had cancer. And he traveled to receive care for her and met other families who were eating out of vending machines, sleeping in the waiting rooms, and he came back to the Eagles organization and said, we've got to do a fundraiser to help these families I met. And they approached the local McDonald's owners. They came up with this Shamrock Shake fundraiser for the Eagles and St. Patrick's Day. And Ray Kroc, who was the founder of McDonald's, loved the idea. And he loved it so much that he said, I want this to be our charity of choice. And because of that, they launched the first house in the world in 1974 in Philadelphia as a partnership between the Eagles and McDonald's. And we are now each autonomous 501c3 nonprofits that are governed by a volunteer board of trustees, and we have advisory boards in the areas that we serve. So for our chapter, we cover the Intermountain area, which includes Utah, and we serve lots of families from Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, Montana, Arizona, and other states and countries, continents. And we opened, so a group of folks in Salt Lake City in 1985 got together and formed what was called Mountain West Friends of Hospitalized Children. And together, that group opened the first Ronald McDonald House in Utah on South Temple. And at the time, Primary Children's Hospital was located in the Avenues, but we continue to build out that house in the same spot on 9th East and South Temple. And if you're ever in Salt Lake City, we would love to give you a tour and show you our work firsthand. And over the years, I think we've housed since 1988 when we opened that first house about 40,000 families. Many of those families came from southern Utah, and they called our house their home. And this is a rendering or photograph of the newly built house. So we now have 72 rooms, about 60,000 square feet, and lots of communal spaces, play spaces, and so forth that I'm going to show you. We have a fully stocked kitchen, and meals are lovingly prepared by volunteer groups every night, and often breakfasts and lunches as well. We have playroom, craft room, a theater room, exercise room, game room, and a sanctuary for quiet contemplation, because sometimes families don't go home with their kids. And for us, they the families who stay with us are away from their neighbors, their community, their business, their church, their school, their support system, and they have a child that can't be treated in Boise or in Cedar City or Vernal or wherever the family may be coming from, which is why they're staying with us. So we work hard to surround them with support to meet their needs where they're at, both practical support in terms of shuttles to the hospitals that we serve, food, and then lots of love to make it a soft landing spot. And at the house, about 70% of the families we serve are referred to us from Primary Children's Hospital, about 20% are referred from the University of Utah, and about 10% from Shriners. So I saw a couple of Shriners somewhere out here, so there's a shout out for you. And the only criteria to stay at the house or utilize our services is that you have a child 21 and under being treated at a local hospital. So there's no income criteria or screening otherwise. And I'm going to click through this for you. And the families who stay at the house are coming from 35 miles away or more. So they're not Salt Lake City families at the house. They're families from St. George or Cedar City. And we also have family rooms within Primary Children's and Ogden Regional Medical Center, which are essentially mini Ronald McDonald houses within the hospital. And those rooms serve families regardless of geographic area. It doesn't matter where folks are coming from. It just matters that they have a child 21 and under being treated at the hospital. And so, In 2014, we had about 1,900 families who stayed at our house for about 12,000 nights. Our average length of stay was about 6.3 nights, and we had our longest length of stay, which was almost 200 days. Our occupancy rate last year was 90%, our average family size 2.8, and again, lots of food lovingly prepared by volunteers. In terms of what folks are coming to Salt Lake City to access in terms of medical care, it's specialty pediatric care. So the families we see are coming for pediatric liver transplants, kidney, heart. We're getting lots of pediatric heart transplants, which we've started to see at Primary Children's. Cancer treatments and complex orthopedic surgeries or neurological conditions, or the burn unit at the University of Utah. So the commonality among those families is that they have a child that requires specialty pediatric care that isn't available at a local hospital. And Utah is fortunate, I think, and you in St. George are fortunate because of the amazing work of Intermountain Healthcare, but we have developed world-class specialty pediatric care. So we are now seeing families from Alaska, the Midwest, the East Coast, who are coming to Utah for complex organ transplants or neurological treatments and so forth, cancer treatments, and it's the best care around, which is why they're coming here. And it's often life-saving care, which is amazing. And our family rooms. So again, the family rooms are like a mini Ronald McDonald House within the hospital. So these are respite spaces that are meant to provide a soft landing spot for folks in the hospital. And our family room at Primary Children's Hospital has 4 overnight sleeping rooms, and they've been operating at about 95%. So they're almost always full, and we've been serving about 80 families a night dinner at the family room. So Primary Children's is hopping. And again, that is because medical care in Utah, and specifically specialty care, has grown significantly over the past few years, and folks are traveling from far away to access that. And within our family rooms, we have showers, laundry, a quiet kind of prayer and meditation room. We have a family room, communal living space, 4 overnight sleeping rooms, lockers, a fully stocked kitchen and dining room, computer bar, and it feels and looks very different than the hospital. So we work really hard to try to create space that feels authentic and home-like rather than institutional. And because we want to give folks comfort, and often our families are coming from small rural towns, and we want to make it feel comfortable and supportive. So the family room is welcoming about at Primary Children's Hospital, we're welcoming about 7,500 families a year, and that includes almost 20,000 individuals. And they're visiting, they last year visited almost 50,000 times, which for us a visit means you came to take a shower, you came back to take a nap, you came and did a load of laundry, you might have come and had a meal, and so it's being received really well by the families and the hospital. And I think it's had a kind of transformational effect on the hospital, and our partnership is as strong as ever. And similarly, our family room at Ogden Regional Medical Center provides support for pediatric patient families, but it's a day room, so we don't have overnight rooms at that space. So overall, we had about 6,700 families, so 7,000 families, about 43,000 visits. This is not complete because my 50,000 is more complete, I think. But this is a map that shows you where families are from. I don't know if you can see it very well with the lighting, but you can get a sense of the Intermountain area that we serve. And so we have lots of folks from Montana, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, and again, a smattering from 16 international families, 267 families from other states, and 1,600 from the Intermountain West. So we pulled, I think this is, let's see, January to June, the numbers for Beaver, Kane, Garfield, Washington, and Iron counties. So the reason for this is we want you to know about your neighbors that are calling our house your home, and the folks who you may work with or sit next to at church who are staying with us. So it looks like in 2014, the house had 174 families. The family room served 161 families, totaling 323. And then year to date, so this is 6 months for this year, we've had about 123 families call our house their home, and 116 call the family room their home. So this is part of why we're so excited to be here, because we do the majority of our work and awareness building in Salt Lake City, but largely we don't serve Salt Lake City residents. We serve residents from outlying areas. And how is it all possible? We have 37 amazingly dedicated and highly talented staff members who work tirelessly and have a lot of fun while they do it. We do much of our work with volunteer support. So it's evident, based on your meeting, that you're a community that values and cares about volunteerism. And I think Utah is a rare geographic area because of that. So much of our heavy lifting within our organization is done by volunteers. Some of our biggest donors run our shuttle, clean rooms, answer phones. There's no differentiation between roles. People do important work, whether they're paid and volunteers. The volunteers don't just do sort of the fluff work that sometimes happens. So we had about 21,000 volunteer hours donated in 2014. We had 100 core volunteers, which means these are folks who act like staff members. So they commit to 3 hours a week on a regular basis. And they may bring therapy animals to the house. So we have regular therapy animals. We have Eagle Scout projects. We have folks who come in and do chair massage or take photographs to give families a photo book. All kinds of lovely stuff. Adopt-a-meal groups, gardening, crafts, haircuts, movie nights. So our work is simply not possible without volunteers. We have a governing board in Salt Lake City made up of volunteers that are amazing and stellar and absolutely committed. And one of the things that we're going to work on is we want to build out a Southern Utah Community Advisory Board. So after I'm finished, if any of you are interested in helping us, this would be a non-governing volunteer board that would include families we've served in this community and other stakeholders who care about our mission. We want to get this kind of up and running, and we plan to come back November 5th or 6th, I think. And if you want to be invited to that, I'd be glad to invite you, and there's no charge for that. It's just a planning get-together. And resources. So we are funded privately. We are supported through philanthropy entirely. So our $12 million expansion was all private money, no government money. We're not a United Way funded agency, but I love United Way. And we get about 10% of our operating revenue from our McDonald's owner-operators and their customers. So McDonald's is the seed and our mission partner that founded us. And I don't know if you know Dave or Mark Parrish, the owners of McDonald's down here. They're lovely, lovely folks and highly supportive of our work. And the mission is large enough that no one group or company could possibly support it. So the work only happens with philanthropy and the generosity of folks giving away their treasure. We ask our guests to pay a voluntary contribution of $20 a night at the house. It costs us around $70 a night to provide one night stay, and about half of our families are able to pay. And I like asking them to contribute because they tend to treat the place better, and there's a shared community about it. And we don't want to further add to their financial hardships. So there's no requirement, and we've never turned somebody away. But inability to pay, and a little more than half of our families don't pay. And the rest of our support comes from individuals, foundations, and corporations, including lots of support from corporations and individuals in Southern Utah. So for those of you in the room who have supported our work, thanks for making it happen. And as I said, McDonald's has been our mission partner from the very beginning, and our work wouldn't happen without them. And again, we can't do it just with the support of McDonald's. There's no way. But they give us a portion of money for every Happy Meal that's purchased, for every pound of French fries. They have a Fries for Families program. And then their customers give gifts in the canisters that support us. So together, this support with the support from our guests makes up about 20% of our operating budget. And our operating budget's about $2.1 million a year. So the rest is all private philanthropy, and which is awesome. And then lots of in-kind donations. Many of those donations also come from Southern Utah. So we have lots of groups that gather together pop tab donations, or send us back to school kits and bags, or craft kits, or they make hats for the kids that don't have any hair that want a soft hat, or send us little care packages of quilts and so forth. And those are always welcome, needed, and used quickly. And there are lots of ways to get involved, and I'm not here to pitch you about getting involved. But it's also important for folks to know that with all nonprofits, our work only happens because of charity and because of gifts. Otherwise, there's no mission. And I think the best way, if you're interested in getting involved here, on your tables, there is a flyer about ways to help, ways to get involved. And we talked about our Pop Tab program. And you have a really active Pop Tab program in the schools here, where the kids collect the tabs off of the cans, and then they donate the tabs, and we get money from Utah Metal Works as a result of it. And it comes up to significant funds for our charity. It's about $10,000 a year, actually. And to give you a sense of the profile of folks who might stay with us, here's a sweet family that stayed at the house for 12 nights, and they had a little guy being treated in the burn unit. Here's a sweet family. I think they are a St. George or border. This is River. I don't know if you know River Henderson, anyone in the room, but the Henderson family has been back at the house, and I think they're a St. George family, or they live on the border of Arizona. Lovely family. And often what we see is families come back and forth. So they may be at the house, then they go home, then they come back for treatment. And it's pretty tough, like the family that I talked about at the beginning that I asked you to send your good thoughts out to. The little boy Marcus started school, so mom had to come up with the child being treated, and Marcus is down here staying in school. So it's rough on a family to be separated. The Howell family, they're from Vernal, Utah. They stayed with us for 270 nights. They had preemie twins in the newborn ICU. Darling family. And if you see on your tables, we have an annual report that has two babies, a set of twins. Beautiful photo. That's the Howell. Those are the Howell babies from Vernal. They're darling. And then you have, I'll go back here, the Stewart family. So the Stewart family from Idaho stayed with us while Lily's the little darling girl there on the couch, had a liver transplant. So she was waiting for a donor, and she had to go through dialysis while she was waiting. Donor came through, stayed with us for 199 nights. And in the end, we recently said goodbye to Brielle, who was cleared after many months of treatment. I think she was with us for 7 months, if I remember correctly. And her home is Nevada. So the important thing I hope that you take from this is that we may be located in Salt Lake City, and we are working to serve your neighbors and your family members and your coworkers and folks that you may care about. And anything we can do to further engage you in that, we would love to do it, because the work, as you have heard, only happens with your kindness. So that's what I've got, and I've got a short 5-minute video if you have time for it, and I'm happy to field any questions as well. Are we good for the video? Okay.
Yeah,
Question? Yes? Okay.
born. My name is Britton Pugh. I'm here for a bone marrow transplant.
Lily went septic after she was diagnosed with this separate disease called Hirschsprung's disease. She was 4 months old. She went into total organ failure and she was on life support for a long time.
My name is actually Heidi.
Heidi was born with heart defects and liver disease.
Our daughter has a chromosomal deletion, and that leads into quite a few health problems.
My name is Naomi Hardy, and I am from Las Vegas, Nevada, and this is Isaias Hardy.
Ronald McDonald House Charities is an exceptional nonprofit charitable organization, and it's exceptional because we have not only this beautiful house, but it's a real soft landing spot for folks who are going through a really difficult period. Families who come here have often traveled from far distances, and they're away from home, school, neighbors, church, their business, and their support systems and comfort. More than a home, it provides a family for folks, and they can draw strength from one another, share in stories with one another, and gain power in what probably feels like a really disempowering circumstance.
He was a little anxious. I think he remembered his last surgery, so when they started taking him away from me, he started crying. Wasn't really having it with like the x-rays and stuff, but he seems to be at home here. He just wants to run up and down all the hallways, getting to everything.
It's good to have like a soft bed instead of sitting in those hospital beds. You're able to move around and go, and like I'm able to play with my brothers in the playroom or go outside and play.
We love the Ronald McDonald House. It was so nice coming here today because she was saying on the way here, I get to see my friends, I get to see my friends. So it's nice. It's nice because she knows we have to do hard things when we come to the hospital, but she associates it with fun times and fun people. My favorite part of the Ronald McDonald House is that all of our family gets to stick together during this hard time in our life.
I could go take a nap during the day and stay at the hospital and not have to leave my baby. The people there, the volunteers are amazing.
It definitely doesn't feel like you're in the hospital in there. It almost feels like home.
So the Ronald McDonald Family Room at Primary Children's Hospital is here for inpatient families to provide resources and hopefully a nice quiet place to come, a respite space for our families to really feel like they're stepping out of the hospital and into a home-like environment.
The reason to provide volunteer is I'm very committed, and our family is very committed to the mission of Ronald McDonald House Charities, and the family room is all part of that, being part of the Primary Children's Hospital. It's an opportunity to give back to the community.
One of the things that is fabulous and amazing about Ronald McDonald House Charities is the outpouring of support we receive from this community. And on so many days, we feel absolutely enveloped in love and compassion and kindness because the house is filled with volunteers who are lovingly preparing and serving meals to families after a long day at the hospital.
The kitchen's stocked. We can grab food there and we head out the door. With lunches a lot of time in the family room. We stop by there, get a snack, and then we're right back by the bedside, so we don't have all those little things that take a half hour here, 45 minutes here. I mean, it is an awesome program.
We're really grateful. We were actually looking at the names of people that have donated, and just really nice that they even recognize those donations by putting the little flowers on the wall. I was surprised to see whoa, people actually donate to do this for us.
The Ronald McDonald House has been a wonderful place for our family to find comfort and joy in such a hard time as we. Her life has been on hold for the last 4.5 years because of her heart problems and her liver disease. And just last year, Heidi received a perfect match for a liver transplant, and she received her new liver just last year.
And I had my first anniversary.
You did.
Ronald McDonald House rocks!
from something in southern Utah, if you don't mind sharing your card with me. And I thank you for taking the time to hear about this and learn about us and invite us here. It's just been such a lovely reception, so thank you very much.